Hey there guys, my name is Sumedh Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a flow state coach, which means that I help you feel better and perform better. Today I'm talking about flow triggers. This is a series about flow triggers. Today I'm going to speak to you guys about high consequences. Alright, high consequences. That girl is so dangerous, that girl is a bad girl, yeah. This is an environmental trigger. We talked about internal triggers so far. This is an external trigger. So that means you get it from your environment. High consequences. Now, this does not necessarily have to be from a very dangerous environment. It could also be from you taking a risk, pushing yourself. You see, when there's danger lurking in the environment, we don't need to concentrate extra hard to try to drive our focus, because the risk will already do it for us. These elevated risk levels will push us to be a lot more in that state of focus. So it basically puts us into this ferocity or this grit or this alertness mode, being very alert, being very tuned in and honed in into your environment. Let's say you're in the woods and you hear a rustling of the leaves. You would be on edge a little bit. That on edge is you being in the flow state. Actually, it's protective for you to be a little bit on edge, because that could be a potential predator. This is besides the point, but I recently learned that predators don't hunt in the rain. That's why we fall asleep to rain noises. These little attributes or things that we learn based on the environment that we're in has a massive impact on our ability to be in a specific mental, emotional state. So something is at stake, right? Something can happen. I was speaking to you in the first video about this idea of urgency or leverage. This also applies to here. It's got to be important to you. It's got to be urgent to you. It's something that moves you. It might be a sense of danger or risk involved. So if your neck is on the line, you're going to drive yourself into the zone. Let's say you're at a big wave and there's a 50-foot wave and you need to pull the trigger in that moment. You can't ignore the wave. You can't dodge the wave in some way. You're going to have to go and work with the wave and try and surf on that tall wave. Similarly, if you're a very shy guy, you might have to cross the room to talk to a beautiful woman on the other side. It's about pulling the trigger. That's what high consequences is about. It's about pulling the trigger. Not very literally like a gun, right? But pulling the trigger in whatever task or craft that you're in, whatever that you're doing. Like for an acrobat, walking the tightrope. They just have to go in and do it. They can't overthink in that moment and be like, oh no, I'm walking the tightrope. Oh. That's not going to work, because it is their profession. They have to start to show up a lot more ready. They have to be able to maintain and manage their internal state and their management, right? Their internal processes. Vestibular system as well. Sense of proprioception, this balance internally, to be able to fully be an awesome acrobat and show you all these awesome tricks and moves, like walking the tightrope or spinning in the air and things like that. At the same time, you want to notice that this is a person who is highly trained within their mind and body to be able to do what they do. They've gotten to a point of skill where they're able to get that high consequence, and they get a kind of high from being in these dangerous situations. Motocross, bikers in a sense, doing tricks in the air. A lot of them, they couldn't do more than one backflip. Nowadays you see these bikers, they're doing like 7-8 flips in the air and lots of insane tricks. So when we get to this level of like taking something that is impossible and then making it possible, that's when you're accessing that flow state. You're actually changing the metric of what is possible. A lot of Guinness World Records or these world-class events of people really setting the new bar, being able to change the norm. That's a great example of high consequences in flow state, okay? So this doesn't have to be a physical danger like I mentioned. It can be an emotional danger, it can be a mental danger, it can be a social risk. You must be willing to take those risks, okay? So if it's a sense of adventure and this potential for failure that will drive you. So artists have to take a very vulnerable risk, right? We'll talk about risk in also about social triggers. It's a very social trigger as well. However, in this high consequences, high consequences also means you get a high reward or a high spike of that, dopamine and that sense of adrenaline and, all of those neurochemicals which will be going off in your brain because you did something quote unquote dangerous. This doesn't mean go off and take stupid risks. It's like the same energy that we take in stupid risks, we can channel that into heroic risks as well. So it's really about optimizing performance. It's not about, going out of our ways to, crack every single one of our bones, though that might be, of course, that's a high consequence. In a lot of sports you may get a lot of injuries, but that's a part of it, okay? So part of you, going through the process and really being able to push yourself in a certain kind of athletic endeavor, okay? Injuries are not fun, absolutely not. However, at the same time, you got to understand, like, okay, this is what I got myself into. This isn't like finger painting in kindergarten, okay? This is a adventure sport. That's what is going to pull you, that sense of danger is going to pull you towards that. And, a lot of, thrill seekers or people who go out of their way to access these flow states in very dangerous situations, they're trying to get this. They're trying to get this high consequences, like people who are skydivers or, do very intense things to be able to get that feeling of that thrill of being alive. Like you feel alive, like, whoa, my body is doing something. I feel fully alive in this moment because there was a danger or a threat involved, and I overcame that. And that's something very human, to be able to overcome a threat, and seeing a threat as a challenge, to reframe that way is very powerful. So I hope this video helped you out. This is my perspective. Have an amazing day. May the flow be with you, and stay legendary.